Welcome to the video, guys. Today we're going to take a look at the Arc Raiders aggression based matchmaking, and this is my analysis of it. So Arc Raiders is an extraction shooter built around risk, decision making and player choice. Every raid asks the same questions: how far do you push, what do you risk, when do you walk away? To support that experience, the game uses an aggression based matchmaking system. The intention is to shape raids around player behaviour, grouping players with similar patterns together over time. On paper, that's a sensible approach. In a genre where playstyles can vary dramatically, tailoring matchmaking based on behaviour rather than raw skill has clear advantages. However, in practice, the way this system interprets behaviour introduces several challenges. Arc Raiders appears to track aggression primarily through PvP outcomes. When a player kills other players, their aggression rating increases. As this rating rises, they're more likely to be placed into raids with a higher concentration of PvP-focused players. The assumption here is straightforward. Frequent PvP kills suggest a preference for PvP-heavy gameplay. The difficulty is that this assumption does not account for context. The system does not appear to distinguish between players who actively seek out combat and those who only engage when forced to, i.e. in self-defense. Being ambushed, defending an objective, or protecting an extraction point all contribute to the same aggression signal. From a matchmaking perspective, a kill is simply a kill. This leads to the first major issue. Self-defense and intentional player hunting are treated as equivalent behaviours. In extraction shooters, avoiding combat is often a valid and intelligent strategy. Players may prioritise looting, completing objectives, or minimising risk, but encounters are not always avoidable. When a player is forced into a fight and survives, the system interprets this as increased aggression, regardless of the circumstances that led to that engagement. Over time, these defensive encounters can accumulate. A player who consistently survives unexpected fights may see their aggression rating rise, even if they never initiate combat. And I say they may see their aggression rating rise. What I mean by that is you may see it in your lobbies. You're now running into more and more PvP lobbies wondering, what's going on? I'm not actively seeking out PvP. Why am I being pushed into lobbies where the players are more aggressive? There's a question there as to whether you could have like a thermometer style diagram of how aggressive you're being in your raider page. Like, are you highly aggressive? Are you somebody who never fights? Are you somewhere in between? Anyway, as a result of that, matchmaking begins to shift. Players classified as more aggressive are placed into lobbies where encounters are more frequent and more difficult to avoid. These environments naturally produce additional PvP engagements. This for me creates a negative feedback loop. In a PvP heavy raid, encounters happen more often. More encounters increase the likelihood of kills. Those kills further reinforce the aggression rating. At that point, the system's no longer responding to your player behaviour, it's actively shaping it. This effect is particularly noticeable for skilled or experienced players. Players with strong awareness, good positioning, solid mechanical skills are more likely to survive encounters regardless of their intent. Because survival often requires eliminating a threat, these players naturally accumulate more PvP skills. From the system's perspective, this appears as deliberate aggression. From the player's perspective, it may simply reflect competence. At the same time, players who actively seek out PvP but frequently lose engagements may not accumulate the same aggression rating. In some cases, this allows highly aggressive playstyles to remain in lower intensity lobbies. This imbalance, where success is weighed more heavily than initiation, can make matchmaking feel very inconsistent. Another consequence of this system is a gradual reduction in player agency. Extraction shooters rely on meaningful decision making. Choosing when to fight, when to loot, when to disengage, when to avoid other players is central to the experience. When matchmaking reclassifies a player based primarily on outcomes rather than choices, that sense of control is diminished. Players may feel that their preferred playstyle is being overridden rather than supported. Importantly, this does not necessarily make the game more difficult in a conventional sense. Instead, it makes the experience less predictable. A player may enter a raid expecting a balanced mix of exploration and tension, only to find themselves in consistently high conflict environments without having intentionally opted in for that level of PvP. Now, whilst PvP isn't a choicing game in a sense of you choose a PvP lobby versus a PvE lobby, when you get into this loop of just constantly being in PvP heavy lobbies where you have people camping spawns, you have people camping extracts, it just becomes frustrating. From a design perspective, this highlights the limitations of outcome-based behavioural tracking, in my opinion. Aggression's not a single, easily measured unit. It includes intent, initiation, persistence, and repetition. Without accounting for these factors, the system relies on simplified data that may not accurately reflect player preferences. There are several potential ways this system could be refined while preserving its original goals. One approach could be to incorporate contextual aggression tracking. So factors of who initiated an engagement, whether a player attempted to disengage, or whether kills occur repeatedly within a short time frame, could provide a clearer signal of intent. Another option would be to more clearly separate survival proficiency from PvP preference. Winning fights does not inherently indicate a desire for increased PvP exposure. Alternatively, providing players with some degree of control over raid intensity could help align expectations with outcomes. Opt-in modifiers, risk tiers, or contracts could allow players to choose higher PvP environments intentionally rather than being assigned them silently. None of these ideas require abandoning aggression-based matchmaking entirely. The core concept is valid. The challenge lies in how narrowly aggression is currently defined. When player behaviour is reduced primarily to outcomes, the system risks misclassifying players and creating an experience that feels misaligned with their goals. In its current form, Arc Raiders matchmaking appears to prioritise results over reasons, and in a genre built around choice, that distinction matters. The aggression-based matchmaking we're seeing isn't inherently flawed, but without sufficient nuance it can produce outcomes that feel inconsistent or unintentionally restrictive. As Arc Raiders continues to evolve, refining how intent is measured and how much agency players retain, this could help the ecosystem better support the wide range of playstyles the game encourages. Understanding where these systems succeed and where they struggle is part of understanding the game. And thoughtful discussion around them is how they improve over time. So, if you'd like to, drop a comment down below, let me know your thoughts. How's your matchmaking going? Have you found that as a self-defense focused player, primarily a looter in other words, you're finding yourselves in harder and harder PvP lobbies based on your outcomes of aggressive players pushing you and you winning? Because that's what I see. Or are you seeing that you're getting bot lobbies, for want of a better word, when you're playing super aggressive? It'd be really interesting to find out. So yeah, let me know your thoughts down below. Hit the like button if you've enjoyed this video. Subscribe if you want to. Do all the nice things. And we'll see you in the next one. Okay, bye!